Ask that you stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening's consent agenda consists of A, City Council Work Session, June 15th, 2021. C, City Council Regular Meeting, June 15th, 2021. B, Adopt Resolution R 21-30, accepting a donation from So Unique, Deb Gatz, to be dedicated toward the operations funds for the Winston Volunteer Fire Department. C, Adopt Resolution R 21-31, accepting donations in the amount of $11,000 to be dedicated toward the fund for the cost of firework display on Friday, August 6, 2021, in conjunction with the Winston Summer Festival. D, Adopt Resolution R 21-32, to accept a donation for the Winston Police Department in the amount of $799.50 to be dedicated toward the Winston Police Department Operations Fund for the purchase of breast cancer awareness police badges. E, Adopt Resolution R 21-33 to accept the donation of a gift card from Target in Hutchinson in the amount of $50 to be dedicated toward the 2021 Winston Night Out. The last item under F is approve the claims list for August 30th. I need a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor, I'll motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a move. Do we have second?
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Under new business, Mr. Adam.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. The first item on the new business agenda is in regards to gate valve replacement. At the September 15th, 2020 City Council work session, the City Council was informed of a water main break that occurred north of Main Avenue, where the location of the break could not be determined. City staff and the city engineer spent a significant amount of time trying to isolate the area of the break, which resulted in a large section north of Main Avenue West to be without water for an extended period of time. From that instance, it was discovered that 4 6-inch gate valves needed replacement, 3 valves on Fairlawn Avenue East and 2nd Street North, and 1 valve on Albert Avenue West. In addition to the valve replacement that is needed, a hydrant on 1st Street North and Winston Avenue West needs to be removed and capped as well. If the gate valves are not replaced, it will again be difficult to isolate the area if another water main break occurs, causing the entire city section north of Main Avenue West to be without water as the break is repaired. In those areas, North Main Avenue do experience a higher than average amount of water main breaks due to the age of the water mains in those areas. So that being said, we are requesting approval from the City Council to replace those 4 gate valves as well as remove the fire hydrant at 1st Street North and Winston Avenue. The project would be funded through the city's water fund, which does have a fund balance available to pay for the expense. Notably that we don't have a large fund balance, but we do have enough fund balance to cover this needed project. With that being said, is there any questions?
When a water main break occurs, what does it cost to get it repaired?
Oh, it varies, but it can vary between $5,000 and $10,000.
And we usually have how many a year?
Usually 2 to 3.
So this is well-spent money.
Yeah, it won't necessarily eliminate water main breaks, but
Right.
allow us to deal with them
Right.
without having to impact as many homeowners in the future.
Well, we'll have a good idea of locations anywhere where we were lost last time.
Sure.
And roughly how old are the valves that we're replacing, if you were to guess?
Boy, I don't have that detail. I'm not sure that we have that kind of record.
50s or 60s.
Okay.
So we got,
50 plus years old, I would guess.
Wow.
So they're on Social Security.
they're bound to break.
It's similar to the hydrant that's been replaced. That's an older hydrant that is redundant and doesn't work. So our staff, our public works staff, worked with the fire department and determined again that hydrant was redundant, not needed, and instead of repairing it, we're just gonna remove it. So that's part of this project.
Any further questions? If not, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city administrator to approve quotes with Henning Excavating for the replacement of 4 6-inch gate valves, 3 valves on Fairlawn Avenue East and 2nd Street North, and 1 valve on Albert Avenue West and 1st Street North, and for the removal of the hydrant at 1st Street North and Winstead Avenue for the cost not to exceed $23,000.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the next item of new business is resolution for energy outdoor watering restrictions. Adam?
Sure. On July 16th, 2021, the city of Winston received correspondence from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, which provided an update related to the drought situation and new actions required of water suppliers in areas experiencing severe drought conditions throughout the state. The DNR noted that more than 50% of Minnesota has experienced severe drought conditions, and some areas have experienced extreme drought conditions. In response to these conditions, the DNR has determined that the state is now in the drought warning phase. With this designation, the DNR and others are taking additional steps, such as restricting some water uses. The state drought plan specifies actions that the water suppliers must implement once the state has been elevated to a drought warning phase, including implementing appropriate water use restrictions contained within our specific water supply plan, with the goal of reducing water use to 50% above the January levels. So that is definitely certainly a significant decrease in water usage for the city of Winston to meet that goal. Based on the continued drought conditions and guidance from the DNR, city staff established emergency outdoor water restrictions beginning at 12 a.m. on July 26, 2021, and until further notice. This authority is afforded to the city council and the city staff in Chapter 3, Section 12 of the Winston Municipal Code. Significant demand reduction is achievable by restricting or banning non-essential outdoor water use, especially lawn irrigation, power washing of buildings and cars, and swimming pool filling. In addition to these restrictions, city staff intends to encourage customers to fix leaks, install water-saving devices, and water-efficient appliances. All properties are required to implement and maintain an odd and even irrigation plan while the restrictions are in place. A few exemptions apply to the water restrictions. However, those with exemptions should refrain from watering between the hours of 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. The city of Winston will continue to implement the restrictions until such a time that they are no longer necessary. It is important to note that the restrictions may be elevated to a complete ban at any given time based on DNR mandates or critical water needs related to fire suppression in the city of Winston. Given the information above, the city staff is recommending the city council affirm the emergency outdoor water restrictions declared by the city staff by adopting resolution R-21-34. With that being said, are there any questions regarding the proposed resolution?
Just so there's no confusion, it's not because we're running out of water. It's because of the state
Right.
mandating it.
Correct. Currently, we are able to meet our water obligations and our capacity needs, but this is to kind of work early on it, so that way we can continue to meet those needs.
Yep.
And are we going to be able to determine if our water usage has gone down by 50%?
Absolutely. Our staff tracks the daily pumping amount of our pumps, so we can track that.
So since this came in effect, has it come down?
I wasn't able to determine that today. That was on my goal of things to do, but I didn't get the most recent pumping data. But I will for the next meeting to see what impact that's.
Very interesting.
Yes, I'm excited.
It would be,
I'm
yeah.
curious to see too what kind of impact the restrictions have had, or if it's been.
But that'll also impact the revenue,
Yes, it will.
Yes, it will.
Obviously,
so that we have to watch that.
Yes, it will. We'll take that into account as well.
Okay. Any other questions? Then I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution R-21-34, affirming emergency outdoor watering restrictions in the city of Winston until further notice.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, department report from our city engineer. That would be Mr. Jake Salisbury. And he's in person tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Here for the city engineer council report. The last one, I think Josh Eckstein might have given it, I don't recall, but our last one was in February, so obviously lots happened since then. Airport construction project is still underway, as you are aware. Just talking about the drought, it's having some impacts on our turf establishment and our seating, so weather's not cooperating, but reseeding plan coming up here soon. That's the only item left to get that project wrapped up. Northern Natural Gas has a claim in about some additional work which is related to that project. We've passed that along to the FAA, so we're waiting for a response for them to see if that gets approved. And then ultimately we'll need to determine when to open the runway, which will be dependent upon turf. Fuel tank removal and relocation project, the bulk of the work's done. A new 10,000 gallon tank is in place. We're waiting for the gas pump to get shipped and installed. That's anticipated to happen here sometime this month. And finally, the next project at the airport, the apron and terminal area pavement rehab. It's designed, bid, awarded, everything's ready to go. Waiting for the contractor and the grant. The grant has been accepted. We're waiting for the contractor to get started, which we're anticipating will be sometime shortly after Labor Day. Cloud Avenue reconstruction, that one's going to come off the list here shortly. This is just kind of the final one. It's been on the list for over 2 years with the various steps, but the city did get the $750,000 local road improvement grant for that project. So that's all been taken care of. All the closeout paperwork, et cetera, for that are done. Punch list is done. Record drawings are done. They're put into the city's new GIS system. So basically this project is entirely complete and will be crossed off the list here after tonight's meeting. Industrial park development, a couple things going on with that. The Millerburn project, as you've seen out there, looks a little different. Building's up. We did a punch list for the site work items, the pavement and utility items. That's all done. And then the city did the separate project for the regional pond to accommodate that facility and some additional development work. That construction is done. We're just waiting for some closeout paperwork from the contractor. That's been reseeded and it's looking pretty green out there, all things considered. So once we get that one will be off the books here as well. County State Aid Highway 5 extension, been working on that one for several years, or since 2018 roughly. Preliminary design items are done. As you know, a lot of work sharing done with the county on that. Joint powers agreement was recently entered into for final design, so just getting started with the final design work. This month we have a grant application due that the county's agreed to partner with the city on, the TEDI grant, Transportation Economic Development Infrastructure Grant. So I worked on that some more today. I'll be reaching out to the city administrator shortly with some questions and coordination items. We'll get that submitted and hopefully get some funding to help kickstart that project, and then still have some property acquisition work that we're working on. GIS web-based mapping system, all the field work was completed. Mapping system is updated. City staff, I believe, is using it.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, good. Still have to put some finishing touches on that, get some stuff cleaned up, and we're adding some sewer service wise, which wasn't part of that original proposal that we did, but we just got some more televising data from the city a month or two ago. I have that in my possession. We're getting that data uploaded into the system as well to show those locations. So still working on that. Miscellaneous items, telecom stuff, a lot of stuff going on with telecom. We have 4 different projects in various review and coordination phases, 1 from AT&T, 3 from T-Mobile. Working with those. Westgate Pond, another project that's just to basically tell you it's done. Construction's done, turf has been established, so that one's coming off the list here as well. A couple plan reviews, school project and Main Avenue Dentist Office project, sanitary sewer lining project that was recently awarded by the council along with a change order for a little extra work since the bid was low. Don't have a schedule for that yet. We just scheduled the pre-con meeting for that, so we'll get a schedule here real soon, but likely to be after Labor Day as well for that. Storm sewer repairs, did some scoping and design work. That has not proceeded as of yet. Preliminary work was done for a couple projects, one at the Winebeck Athletic Complex and one for well number 5, speaking about water usage. So in the early stages of those couple projects, the council will be seeing items this fall for both of those as well. And then street improvements, passed along some scoping and pricing for Winstead Avenue related to the property adjacent to the church. And then I still owe you some information on Pheasant Run and Winstead on the lake neighborhoods. Which I do have a draft of that I need to get finished up and talk to the city administrator about that and get that information over to you for a possible future project. So a few other minor items, but I always keep this to one page front and back. So I stopped it at that. Include my closing at the bottom of the letter. So questions, comments?
Sanitary sewer lining, where is that being done?
Little bit by the lake at the north end, and then some blocks basically west of the lake. It's a couple sporadic areas that were deemed to be the worst off. I don't recall the exact locations.
Near Fairlawn was a problem area. There's a trunk that connects just west of the lake, and then also this whole stretch of McLeod Avenue.
And
That's
the
probably the
McLeod
biggest
Avenue
section
one,
of that
That was
project.
planned as part of the McLeod Avenue project that we come back after that. We did a couple point repairs when we had that street dug up to line that afterwards. So that's part of this as well. Yes.
Anything else for Jake?
Airport. Reseeding. Thoughts?
They're out there working right now, actually, getting some of the rocks and trying to clean up the area a little bit. I didn't walk all the way out there due to time constraints, but they're out there working on it, so obviously weather dependent. So not sure what exactly you're asking, but my thoughts are we would like to get it reseeded and have some favorable weather and get the grass growing and get the runway open.
Okay.
So not entirely within our control to do that, but that is the goal out there. The nice part is it's a runway, so it's large and it's flat. So if you seed it and the seed doesn't germinate right away, it's not like it's going to wash away very easily. So it is a little bit advantageous as opposed to some projects.
Just to add to that a little bit, Tom, one thing I didn't get a chance to explain to the city council previously. To Jake's point, we're planning on having it reseeded here in the very short term, whether it's this week or next week is the plan. When is the best time to reseed it? Right now, it's not, from a weather standpoint, not exactly the best time, just because we know it's pretty hot yet. Not anticipating a lot of moisture in the near term. But that being said, we're also concerned that there's a potential that if we wait to reseed it, at any time the weather could change and we could get a lot of rain. So if we get a lot of rain, then we can't do it then either because we would damage the runway with it being soft. So in hindsight, maybe in 2 months from now, we can come back and say, oh man, we should have waited or we should have did it earlier. Who knows? But right now, with the information we have in front of us, we're going to try to get in the ground before it does get too wet, if it does get wet. Also knowing that, there could be more moisture, but yet, so there's a lot of things unknowns. We're trying to do the best we can to get it in when we can, and then hopefully Mother Nature cooperates after it's in the ground.
And when you say seeding, how are they seeding that? Is it by machine digging it in, or is it by hand throwing it on?
I believe with machines.
Machines.
Yes.
So they be going down the rows like they were before, or are they going crosswise?
I believe they're going back and forth lengthwise, but I don't.
Yeah, Jake is correct. It'll be the whole length of the runway reseeded the lengthwise. We discussed in length versus cross-hatching it, and I think that's maybe a desire of the hangar owners. But the contractor feels it'd be best to go lengthwise to not create a rougher pattern out there, as well as do less damage to what's currently there. They think it's best to go with it. And the prime contractor also checked on that recommendation from his subcontractor with a lot of other large seeding firms. They all agreed with that assessment. That'd be the best.
Will it be as wide as what it presumably is right now? I mean, that
It's
would-
going to be seeded, to Mike and Jake's point, with a brilliant seeder. So, no. When it was originally seeded, the base was set, or it was prepped. Then they drug it with a 6-inch drag. Okay? And then after that, they laid the seed down. And then they also hydro-seeded it. So it was like a blanket laying on their seed. Now, it appears to have grown in rows to some degree because there might have been more moisture in the bottom of those grooves. and that's why that seed took a little better and gives the look of a row, but it wasn't row seeded necessarily, if that kind of makes sense. Now, I know it looks like it was, but it wasn't. Ultimately, where it got enough moisture, it sure thickened up, you can't even see those rows. Now, in some spots where it's drier, for whatever reason, you can still notice, like, it looks like it was row seeded, if that makes sense. But they're gonna seed it with a Brilliant Seeder lengthwise, is the plan.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got one last question. You've been part of our community now for a long time and involved in a lot of projects. Is there anything out there that should be on our radar for the future?
My biggest concern is your capacity to produce more water. Totally independent of the drought and whatnot, but just with some growth coming, some industrial park expansion, potentially, some more homes in Grass Lake Farm. And then the fact that 2 of your wells are currently blended together to meet the quality requirements. So if one of those were to go offline, essentially you lose 2 of them.
Right.
So then your ability to pump goes way down. And then, heaven forbid, you'd have a fire during one of those times. Put the city in a tough
Be a
spot.
big doo-doo.
Yeah, so, and then the city has authorized the groundwater modeling work just recently, last month, I believe. So the steps are being taken, but that would be my biggest concern.
Okay. The well at Hanlon Park that was redone 10 years ago or whatever it was, how deep is that, do you know?
The Mount Simon one out there is the main one, and that's somewhere around 700 feet deep. So that's a
Okay.
deep one. That's the big one. That's the main water.
And that's the Mount Simon Aquifer.
The city's main well is in the Mount Simon, which is now heavily restricted, and you won't be able to get another one of those.
So if we dug another well, we'd have to either go shallower or deeper?
Shallower.
Okay.
Shallower. Fig, that's no longer called Fig, but it used to be the Franconian Ironton Galesville, or else a drift well. That's what this groundwater modeling will help answer some of these questions, or the Jordan Aquifer. There's other shallower aquifers that you're allowed to get into. That's what we're trying to determine, which aquifer and what location.
Okay, it's on the radar.
But the yields will be smaller than your big well currently. There's just no way around it, which is unfortunate because you still have to obviously pay for the construction and whatnot, but you're not going to get as much water.
But it's better than getting nothing.
It's better than no water, yes.
Thank you.
It'll take at least 2 wells to mimic a Mount Simon well in
Okay.
today's system of water infrastructure.
If that well were to go bad, are we able to go into the same aquifer then?
I believe the answer to that is yes, if you were to replace that well.
Okay.
There's some heavy permitting involved with that, but I think in that situation you'd be okay. I don't think you can get another one. But I'm not sure how that would play out with the DNR and with the Department of Health. There would be some people looking into that. No promises, but I think the answer to your question is yes.
Okay.
You're not gonna sign it in blood.
It's recorded, Joe.
Anything else for Jake?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Salisbury. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
We are now come to the open forum, which I'm going to forego because we don't have anybody out there. So I'm gonna ask Adam if he has any other comments or.
I do have a couple items to note. On Thursday night, the police department is hosting Winstead Night Out. The event will be located at the fire hall. It starts at 6 p.m. We'd certainly encourage all the residents here in Winstead to get out and enjoy a night of fun at the fire hall with the police department. And then that kind of leads into Winstead Summerfest is this weekend. The best fireworks in Minnesota occur in Winstead on Friday night, so come watch those. And then also in August is Winstock Festival, and that is August 19th and 20th, I believe. Is that correct, Tom?
Yep.
So again, a lot of big community events coming up here in August for the city of Winstead. I'm glad to have everybody in town and supporting our businesses, etc. On Monday evening, we have a park commission meeting. Hopefully, I have to talk to Jake a little bit yet, but we should be hopefully reviewing the subsoil analysis that we did on the Weinbeck Athletic Complex. And then later that evening, the planning commission is scheduled to review properties as part of the Winstead Pride Award. So that'll encompass both of those meetings. Otherwise, the other item I had for city administrator updates was regarding the airport, and Jake covered that, and with our questions were kind of answered there. So that's all that I have this evening.
Anything else from any of you, gentlemen?
At the open house, or at the Winston Night Out, Councilman Stucco's not doing a bike rodeo or anything, is he?
Not this year, maybe.
Okay.
He's not scheduled this year.
Not scheduled, no.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.